The snow was falling hard that Christmas Eve, blanketing the city in silence, except for the occasional whistle of wind between the towering skyscrapers. Inside the corner office of Bryant Towers, the glow of a single desk lamp lit up stacks of untouched papers and a man sitting stiffly in his chair. Thomas Bryant, CEO of Bryant Industries, leaned back and stared at the dark window. On the other side of the glass, the city lights shimmered like jewels, but to him, they felt distant, like stars he'd never reach. At 52, he had everything he'd ever dreamed of, a global company, a penthouse overlooking the skyline, and more money than he could ever spend. But tonight, as his assistant left with a cheerful, "Merry Christmas, sir," and the office fell quiet, he realized, he had no one waiting for him at home. No one. He sighed, rubbing the bridge of his nose. That was the price of success, wasn't it? Late nights, lost birthdays, burned bridges. He'd tell himself he'd make it up to people, later. But later never came. Just as he was about to shut off his lamp and retreat to his empty apartment, he noticed movement below. On the street, a small group huddled outside a soup kitchen in the snow, families, kids, men with lined faces and tattered coats. The bright red sign above the door read, "Community Christmas Dinner, all are welcome." For a reason he couldn't explain, Thomas lingered at the window, watching. That's when he saw her. A little girl in a faded pink jacket with missing buttons, maybe 7 or 8 years old, tugged her mother's sleeve and pointed straight at him, at his window. At first, he thought it must be a coincidence. But then she smiled, shyly, and waved. Something strange happened in his chest. He couldn't remember the last time anyone had waved at him like that. Without thinking, he grabbed his coat. Minutes later, he was standing outside in the biting wind, feeling foolish. The line moved slowly into the warmth of the soup kitchen, and he wondered what he was doing here. He could just turn around, get back to his car, and forget this ever happened. "Hi," a small voice said. He looked down. It was her. The girl in the pink jacket, standing right in front of him now. She had big brown eyes and cheeks flushed from the cold. "You're the man from the big office," she said matter-of-factly. "I suppose I am," he admitted, unsure what else to say. She tilted her head, studying him. "You look lonely." Thomas froze. Then she smiled again, soft, kind, without judgment. "Would you like to join us for Christmas dinner?" The words caught him completely off guard. It wasn't just a question. It was an invitation. A chance. He looked past her to see her mother watching nervously nearby, and behind her, tables of strangers laughing, passing plates, holding hands. For the first time in years, he felt something warm break through the cold wall around his heart. He crouched down so his eyes met hers. I'd be honored," he said. Her grin widened, and she took his hand as though it was the most natural thing in the world. That night, Thomas sat at a table full of strangers who treated him like family. He laughed more than he had in years. He listened to stories, helped pass mashed potatoes, even held the baby of a young mother while she ate. When it was time for dessert, the little girl, Lila, he learned, handed him a candy cane and said, "Merry Christmas, Mr. Lonely." And for the first time in decades, he didn't feel lonely at all. The next morning, Thomas called a meeting with his board. He announced the company would fund a permanent community center in that neighborhood, hot meals every day, job training, after-school programs for kids. He even made sure to hire Lila's mother, who'd been out of work for months. When asked why, he simply said, "Because one little girl reminded me what Christmas, and life, are really about." And so, in the heart of a snow-covered city, one small act of kindness created a ripple of change, not just in one man's life, but in an entire community. Because sometimes, the simplest invitation can melt even the coldest heart.